and welcome to STUDNigeria Forum. My name is Nonye Odiri. If this is your first time of joining us on the program, this is a show where we look at everything about the Nigerian economy and we look at informing our viewers about the going-ons in our nation. Today is a special edition of the program, and that is because we are celebrating 15 years of uninterrupted democratic rule in Nigeria. To help me look at various aspects of the Nigerian economy, I have a panel of young, vibrant and intelligent Nigerians who will help me put a scorecard on the economy. So let's get the show started. By my left I have with me.
My name is Samesa Igirigi, and happy Democracy Day to Nigerians.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Samisa.
My name is Odiri. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Odiri, it's a pleasure to have you.
My name is Oleka-John. Happy Democracy Day, Nigerians.
Ezuane, I love your hair. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
My name is Olatunde. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Olatunde. So, let us get the show rolling. The first sector of the economy I would like to look at will be the power sector. Obviously, that is a key part of the Nigerian economy, and obviously it will drive development. A lot of Nigerians are asking, PHCN, what is happening? Are we privatized or are we still in the process of privatization? What would you say is going on with PHCN?
Thank you very much for the question, and it's a good place to actually start from, knowing that at the inception of democracy, lots of policies and incentives have been put in by government to breaking down the power sector in Nigeria. At this point, I can say confidently that PHCN has been privatized. Out of PHCN, Nigerians now have the opportunity to be exposed to services from 17 different companies born out of the privatization activity that happened with PHCN. 11 distribution companies, 6 generating companies, and a single transmission company. That transmission company is owned and run by government.
Okay, now, so PHCN is privatized.
Yeah.
A lot of Nigerians obviously are looking forward to better output.
Very true.
So let's look at the output now. What are we generating as a nation? I know that there's a special presidential task force to monitor the privatization process.
Yeah.
Where would you say we are right now in output of electrical power?
Okay, thank you once again. Taking us back to where we were as a country and to where we are headed. Like you rightly put, the presidential task force was put together by the president, President Goodluck Jonathan, to make sure that policies turn and translate into actions. And the task force has been mandated to generate 40,000 megawatts of power for Nigerian use, for businesses, and to drive the economy. And that committee is made up of the president as the chair, members of some top members in the NNPC that are meant to ensure that gas supplies are efficient and properly maintained and documented, as well as members of the BPE who handled the unbundling process of PHCN. Taking us actually to generating capacity, Nigeria, as at 1972, when the first set of hydro plants were commissioned, had a capacity of generating about 500 megawatts for the consumptions of Nigerians at the time. At the inception of democracy, we know the story of power in the country. We had the capacity at the time of 1,700 megawatts, okay, which was short for a country as large as Nigeria and with the potentials of Nigeria. But the intervention of this administration has been able to up that number to about 4,500 as at now. Okay. So we are almost hitting the 5,000 megawatt mark for power generation.
So in the last 3 years, we've moved from 1,700 to 4,000,
exactly,
300,
exactly,
500, thereabouts.
Exactly,
okay,
exactly.
So that is progress.
That's reasonable progress.
That is progress.
For 3 years.
For 3 years. Okay, now let's look at the privatization process now. Now we know that PHCN obviously was a government institution, had a lot of government workers, a lot of Nigerians working with PHCN. What plans has the government put in place to take care of these people who will lose their jobs once PHCN becomes privatized?
Okay. I think credit once again has to be given to government for running a very transparent privatization program as regarding NEPA and PHCN and what we have today. In the history of this country, we have had cases where state-owned properties have been privatized, and it has always ended in one battle in court or the other. But in this case, under this administration, government was very sensitive enough to consider the effect this action was going to have on the workers of PHCN. And in totality, what the agency in charge of privatization was able to do was to, first of all, capture, in terms of numbers, members of staff of PHCN, and they were able to get to a number, I think 50,000 plus, were members recognized as staffs of PHCN. And in that number, as we speak, about 444,000 of these persons have been settled in terms of retirement benefits and remunerations due them. And that has been under the auspices of this government. And we can see transformation is actually happening in that sector. And just to before I stop, in the past 3 years, we've had lots of demonstrations because of particular things not met by government. This is one case where we have, in the last 2 years, not seen people coming to demonstrate because remunerations for staff has been ignored. That goes to show that government has been committed to making sure that staff welfare for those persons
who lost their jobs. So there was an amount of money that was put aside, and they were settled. Great. You've raised a lot of very key points, and I will come back to you. But let's move to another sector of the economy, which I think is also a very key part of the Nigerian economy, and that is agriculture. Now, agriculture provides over 70% of employment to Nigerians. The Goodluck Ebele administration has said they are committed to developing and improving the Nigerian agricultural sector. I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to ask you, what policies do you think the government has put in place that has transformed the agricultural sector?
Thank you very much. There's been a lot of transformation in the agricultural sector. The government has put in place a scheme called Growth Enhancement Strategy Scheme. This scheme was designed to ensure that farmers in the rural areas have access to subsidized farm input. When I mean farm input, I'm talking about fertilizers and seeds. And the target was to register 5 million per year, 5 million farmers per year. And so far in the last 3 years, they've been able to register like 3.5 annually, giving a total sum of 10 million farmers on this scheme. And it's really a good improvement. Also, the scheme, they are registered on the e-wallet, the electronic wallet system that enables farmers to have access directly to farm inputs at a subsidized amount.
Okay, let's talk about this e-wallet system now. How does this work? Is it a biometric registration? How do they register? Is it pen to paper, or they take biometric information?
Yeah, it's biometric registration. And like I said, 10 million farmers have been they've been able to register 10 million farmers on the scheme. And it's via their mobile phones. They get SMS. Once they're registered on the scheme, the platform, they receive an SMS on their mobile phones, like a credit voucher that they take to the agro dealers, showing them the voucher and the SMS indicating the allocated farm inputs to each individual. The agro dealer now deal directly with the farmer, not the government, taking charge. Unlike in the past, it's the government's duty to buy, distribute farm input to farmers, and they discovered that only 11% actually gets to the grassroots farmers, which is not good for production. So this e-wallet came on board to solve that problem.
So with the e-wallet now, how many, is there like a percentage? Have they been able to look at how it was before and what it is now?
Yeah, before, like I said, the issue of the middlemen collecting fertilizers and seeds for farmers and not delivering it has cost the government so much. So with this e-wallet, the government has been able to save like 30 billion naira from the normal loss of 300 billion naira. So I think it's a plus to us.
It is a good initiative. So previously 11% of farmers were receiving government, the inputs coming from government? Is there a percentage now that we can say
we
are
have like
receiving?
75% now.
So
having access to it.
75% of the farmers now have access. That is more than, I think, 50%, if I'm right, increase in. So that's working.
Yeah, it is.
It is working. Wonderful. Okay, now let me come to another key point in agriculture, and that is finance. Now, a lot of local farmers say they want to go into agriculture, they want to improve and expand their yield, but they face the challenge of accessing funds. What plans has the government put in place, or what policies have they put in place to help local farmers?
Yeah, thank you. The Minister of Agri in the last 3 years has been able to convince the commercial banks to come invest in the agricultural sector. So with this, aside the Bank of Agri that gives loan, well, not to a reasonable amount, but with this latest development in the last 3 years, they've been giving out loans.
Okay.
And all they expect the farmer to do is get registered under a cooperative in your environment so that they can have access to you and ensure that your business plans, visible and achievable plans are available, which you will submit to the Ministry of Agri. So all they do is once they check all the information should be made available to them and they approve it, then they give the banks go ahead to give you a loan with little interest.
Okay, so the Ministry of Agriculture is acting, it's vetting these farmers to make sure that they are actual farmers,
yes,
and they are people who have land they want to actually take part. Oh, okay, so that is a great initiative, and I'm sure that will help a lot of local farmers in Nigeria to gain access to loans. So thank you for those points. I will come back to you for your scorecard and to talk about the agricultural sector. But I'm going to talk about a sector now that I think is very dear to my heart, and I think is dear to all the women's heart here. Let's talk about the health sector now.
Okay.
Millennium Development Goals. One of the goals is maternal health.
Yeah.
Very key. Let's look at what this administration is doing. What have they put in place to make sure that they are hitting that goal that has been set by the United Nations?
Oh, thank you for your question. The maternal health is very important because they say women, the backbone of every nation. Okay, now in the MDG 5 is to improve maternal health.
Okay.
At least by 3/4 by 2015. And so far, they've gone a long way in achieving that. These are the result of there is this biannual program that they could do that's been sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Health with other partnership bodies. We have the Maternal Neonatal Child Health Week. So whereby they provide commodities for women. That's women from 15 to 49 years, that's the childbearing age.
Okay, women of childbearing age.
Yeah.
Okay.
There they give them the family planning teachings or lectures on how to, and the family planning empowers women to have the number of pregnancies they want at a healthy interval.
Okay.
Okay, there they teach them how to do that and give them the family planning commodities that they need that is suitable for their own body physiology.
Is this free?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so it's free training, free lecture. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it is free within the Maternal Child Health Week.
Okay.
Period is free, and also the area where we usually have a big problem with maternal deaths is usually in the rural area. Now the federal government have tried to refurbish over 1,500 primary health care centers, usually in the rural area where they have access to women, where women can now go and access health care without too much struggle or thinking of how to go into urban area to do that. So now the healthcare is just at their doorpost. They can have it. And also they have this vitamin A supplementation.
Okay.
Well, is given to women twice a year because usually at the 3rd trimester of a woman's pregnancy, the woman has to compete with the baby for the limited amount of vitamin A in the woman's body. So the vitamin A supplementation helps the woman to be able to boost her immune system against diseases.
Wow. Okay.
And also to prevent
Is this also free, especially in the rural areas?
It is free.
It is free. Wow. Okay, so there are a lot of work that's going on, obviously in maternal health areas across Nigeria.
And really, the rates prior to this time, at 2008, we had like 545 women dying out of 100,000 live births. But now it has dropped down to 250 per 100,000 live births, which is a good thing. And from that we're progressing. We're getting down to the.
We're getting better. So
Yeah.
hopefully in the nearest future we will be at 0 because that's the key.
That's
we
the
don't want to
intent.
lose any lives, any more
we don't
lives.
want to
Okay,
lose
so
any.
you've raised a lot of good points. Let's move now to infant mortality.
Okay.
A lot of infants lose their lives obviously between the ages of 0 to 5.
Yeah.
And in Nigeria, a lot of the diseases that kill young children are preventable diseases like HIV and malaria.
Yeah.
What is the government doing to help reduce the rate of infant mortality?
Okay, we have the midwife service scheme, whereby women, the nurses, midwives are trained in order to be able to attend to the mothers and also to the children. They are trained on the life-saving skills and the integrated maternal management of childhood illnesses.
Okay.
And most of the diseases that kill children at that age is malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia.
Okay.
And they are trained on how to manage these diseases. And even also there is also the community case management.
Okay, let's talk about malaria now because
Yeah.
I think malaria is a disease that affects almost every Nigerian.
Yeah.
What is the government doing to help alleviate malaria in the society? Or
Okay.
eradicate malaria in the society?
Okay, now in Nigeria, because of our terrain, we're prone to have malaria. But the government, prior to this time, the distribution of nets has been at 8%.
Okay.
But as at last year, the government had to really
Step
boost
up.
it up. Yeah, boost it up to like 73%, whereby almost every household in Nigeria has a net. Because they had to procure it in large quantity and distribute to people free of charge.
Free of charge.
Free
Is
of
this
charge.
both in the local areas and in the urban areas?
Yes.
Okay.
Both in the rural areas and
So I can walk to a medical center
Yeah.
and I can access a net.
Yeah, and also the artemisinin combination therapy, that's the ACTs.
Okay.
Prior to this time, Coartem is the World Health Organization certified drugs for treatment of malaria, effective treatment of malaria. And prior to this time, it used to be between 900 and 1,000 naira. Now, because of the intervention of the government and the partnership bodies, they've dropped down the price to 300 naira, whereby it can be accessed by everybody. Even during this maternal immunization campaign week, it's usually given out free to mothers and their children, so that they
So
can
it's subsidized by government so
Yeah.
that everybody can
Have
get
access to
access
it,
to the
yeah.
drugs and to treat malaria.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to rate the government or this administration on maternal health and
Yeah.
on infant mortality in Nigeria, what number would you attach? Let's give a scale from 1 to 10. What number would you give them?
I'd give them 8 because
You
they
give them an
really
8?
don't
That
know.
high?
Yeah, they have, because all the policies they've put on ground, the routine immunization. Now we don't really have a high rate of missed children. Prior to this time, during immunization, there are a lot of missed children. But now, because of the involvement of the local community in the immunization whole thing campaign, you have less number of
The rate
people.
has dropped.
Yeah.
So you will give them an 8.
We
Okay,
give them
all
an
right. Thank you very much for that. I will come back to you to get your final note on that. But let's move to another sector of the Nigerian economy, and I think it can be described as Nigeria's greatest export. Apart from oil, that's debatable. But I'm talking about the all-powerful Nollywood. Now, Nollywood has risen to the second largest film industry in the world. So a lot of potential for revenue and a lot of potential for employment. So I'm going to come to you, Odiri. I want you to tell me, how is the government tapping into the potentials of Nollywood?
Okay, let me start off by saying, first of all, excuse me, that prior to now, no administration has done more for the entertainment industry in Nigeria as the current one. You said Nollywood is the second largest, production movie industry in the world. Sorry, excuse me. Second only to Bollywood in terms of actual numbers of movies produced a year. Nollywood is second. This year we're setting to hit a target of 1,500 movies produced in a single calendar year. This is up from 892. In 2009, and all this is in no small measure due to direct government intervention in this industry. So, for example, let me take you back to a scheme like the Nigerian Creative Arts and Entertainment Industry Stimulation Loan Scheme, which was initiated in the year 2009. And this year 2010. This scheme was granted $200 million. $200 million, to spend on infrastructure, training, production, distribution. So, the government is in tune with the fact that Nollywood, second only to agriculture, is the largest employer of Nigerian youths. And we're trying to key into that, as a tool in achieving economic progress and
Okay,
development.
now you've raised a point, and I'm just going to tackle you on that, and I'm going to play devil's advocate now. You said $200 million or so was given to Nollywood. What would you have to say to the naysayers who say, why should that amount of money be invested in Nollywood? Why should the government put so much money into Nollywood when there are so many other sectors of Nigeria's economy that money could be channeled into?
Okay, let me now say that, this grant is not peculiar to Nollywood. The government has involvement and interest in all areas of the economy. Nollywood, for example, is the darling of Nigeria. Nigerians are found everywhere all over the world. Wherever Nigerians are, the advent of Nollywood follows them. So the government realizes that, culture and, spreading and making sure that the Nigerian culture is not disseminated by Americanization, is an important key step in improving ourselves.
You've raised a very good point, which is obviously the government not wanting our culture to be told by Americans, but us Nigerians. But I also know that there is a lot of interest in collaborating, with overseas productions with Nigerian artists and Nigerian production
companies. Yes, because the government understands that, with international collaboration, the quality of our movies increases. For example, Half of a Yellowstone, written by the acclaimed Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie, was shot in its entirety, at a government-backed and sponsored, development facility in Tinapa. In collaboration with local Nigerian actors, a British-born Nigerian, a British-born Nigerian actor. Yeah, Chiwetel Ejiofor. So foreign intervention does not mean, that our culture will be disseminated or decimated rather. It just means that we're taking ourselves from a local and regional power to a much more wider scale, international.
Do we have personal success stories from Nollywood?
Oh yeah, definitely. Our stars are everywhere. We're on stages, music acts, award shows, Genevieve, D'banj, Two-Face, you just need to turn on your TV and they're there. But one particular success story is an entrepreneur by the name of Jason Njoku. What he has strived to do is take Nigerian content, from the conventional distribution, which is video sales, movie theaters, and he has taken us onto the world stage, onto the main stage, by providing Nigerian content online.
Okay.
So the riches of the internet are felt in all the corners of the world. So in every country, in the whole entire world, you can have access to Nigerian movies and content.
And I think that's what these loans are for, to improve the reach, to improve the productivity of what's coming out of Nollywood.
Exactly. After the successful implementation of the creative and entertainment industry stimulation loan scheme, the president, was so encouraged that the Project Nollywood is currently in development. This project has a grant of over 3 billion naira, into production, distribution, funding capabilities. So the government realizes the importance of Nollywood and is trying to key in.
We can be number one. I think that's what the government is trying to do. We can be number one in the world.
Well, with the way we're going, hopefully one day Nollywood and its income and revenues generated will hopefully come to surpass oil in Nigeria.
So Bollywood should watch out.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're hot on their heels. Definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think you guys have given us a lot of food for thought. But before we go, I'm just going to come around once more and take final comments from everyone. So I'll start with you. You started us off on power and you gave the government what scorecard?
At this point, I would want to encourage Nigerians to be on the lookout, because we can't ignore the changes that happen around us. If you crisscross this country from south, north, east, we see infrastructure. Power infrastructure in all parts of the country. We see mighty masts being built in different parts of the country. So the government is not holding on its heels. They are working. In terms of rating government as regarding the power sector, in transmission, I'll give them a 70, because the marks are everywhere. Okay. They are everywhere. In terms of generation, I'll still give them 70, because there's been this drive. There's this Nigerian Independent Power Production Scheme that's been able to ensure that 6 gas plants around the country are fully functional.
Okay,
to
so if
also,
you had to give them 1 to 10,
yeah,
what number would that be?
it's a 7.
It's a 7.
It's a
for
7
you.
because it is work in progress. We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet. Power is a means to an end. It is a means to an end, and hopefully by the time it is sorted, our businesses that we lost to our neighbors, Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic, will be back here. Nigerians will be gainfully employed, and other businesses also will spring out from the privatization we have experienced in the sector.
Very well said. I'll come to you. Odiri, what are your final thoughts?
I would award Nollywood an unbiased 9/10. 9/10 in the sense that the quantity is there. What we need to do is maybe fine-tune our quality. And with international collaboration, increased government support and sponsorship, we're on the right track.
Definitely on the right track. What would you have to say? Isn't one of your final thoughts?
Okay, the federal government and this administration has made available most of our healthcare needs in our healthcare centers. So I would encourage Nigerians to go out to these centers and have access to these things. They are there for them. Let them not abandon them there to lie waste, maybe aspire. So let them go and have access and make use of them.
Okay. And you, final thoughts?
Well, the government is doing a lot of work. A lot of transformation is actually going on in the agricultural sector. But I want to also encourage the youth, really, to learn to think outside the box. They should stop dreaming of white-collar job. Not everybody's going to get it, really. But they should sit down and think. Bring out that idea in them, They shouldn't be scared of holding hoes and cutlasses, really. But because there's mechanized farming, And aside that, we have poultry, we have snails, in fact, animal husbandry, basically. So they should sit down and get visible business plan. And we have programs, schemes on ground to help them bring their dreams alive.
Very well said. Well, thank you all of you for joining me on this edition. And I think our viewers have enjoyed this program. And you've given them a lot of food for thought. So thank you very much. It was really a pleasure having you. Thank you for our viewers who have stayed with us till this time. Unfortunately, this is all we can take on this edition of the show. Be sure to join us next week when we'll be bringing another exciting episode of STUDNigeria Forums. If you would like to leave us a comment, please log on to our Facebook page or send us a tweet on Twitter. We are excited and would love to hear from you. Till we meet you again, remember we are all proud Nigerians, so let's go out there and make this nation great. It's been a pleasure hosting this. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.